What's good, everyone? Welcome back to My First Kicks. This is episode 156, and this week I bring to you a special episode with Fresh Daily. That's right. I have known Fresh Daily for a very long time, so we go over all of that in this episode. It's a pretty long episode, actually, because I gotta say, it's like two friends just reconnecting again over just memories. And it's a really good time. I got to learn a lot more than I knew back when first met Fresh. And we talk about his process. Like it evolved into him putting me onto a ton of stuff and me telling him stories that he didn't remember, uh, finding out how I ended up in the circle, his inner circle, I want to say, in terms of just like fly shit. And it was just really cool. It was kind of just like a full circle moment for me. And it was really cool opportunity. And you will definitely see a lot of Fresh on the podcast coming forward or going forward. So it's just a very fun and insightful episode for everyone who doesn't really know me or who wants to learn more about me also. But you got to learn about Fresh as well. And make sure, you cop his most recent album, The Quiet Life 2. I love that joint. It is fire. We talk about just like when I first met him and how his connection with Stan led to us meeting, and it's just a really cool episode. So very excited to jump into that. I will say, as you've noticed, I have taken maybe like a big step back on social content in terms of the podcast. I will try to post more clips of the actual podcast, but when it comes to like TikTok content, I've taken a big step back. I'm currently working on something that I think deserves all my attention. So whenever I get a chance, instead of creating that type of content, I will hint that I'm creating this type of content. And once it's done, I'll announce it on here. I'm planning to maybe do like an episode where I announce the content on the episode, and then that same week I'll drop what I'm dropping. But I'm very excited about it. I found this new lane that I'm if you are listening to this and I've spoken to you about this lane, please keep it to yourself for now. But just know I'm very excited about what I'm going to bring to you all who listen to this, or maybe even new, and hopefully it will bring some more new people in that find that content. But I'm excited about it. Just doing what I'm doing in my spare time that's revolving around it is making me excited. So that's a good sign because TikTok never made me excited. I'll be honest. Talking to people and finding a new community, that was the best part of TikTok. Like shout out to Morgan, Flex, Frank, Valley Boy, all those guys. I really am gracious to be in the group chats that we are in, and it's you'll see me be on there live sometimes when I'm working on an episode or editing or something like that. But like I said, I will be taking a step back. Maybe I'll, if I feel inspired to drop some funny content, I'll probably do it on there. But it's gonna take me a minute. Anyway, on to where you can find Fresh Daily. You can find him on all social medias as fresh.daily. We talk about why that's his name on all social medias. And like I said, check out The Quiet Life 2. Go stream that joint. Pause this, go stream it, listen to the whole album, come back. Come back after because I need the listens as well. But I hope you enjoy this. And after, and if you're back say, hey, welcome back. Quiet Life 2 is fire, right? Anyway, check out, because we talk about his brand, Very Relaxed. Check out his Very Relaxed brand. I'll put a link in the in the description of this podcast, and also description on YouTube. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please, please, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Welcome to the My First Kicks universe. But On to where you can find me. I am Who is Haas on all social medias. Follow the podcast on My First Kicks Pod. Follow and I guess subscribe to the podcast again on My First Kicks on TikTok and YouTube. Like I said, I have stuff coming. Everybody's going to enjoy this thing that I'm working on. All right. I'm hyping it up because I'm very hyped about it. I'm saying it again. That's how hyped I am about it. And then, as always, if you have a My First Kick story, and I'm pretty sure this might be your first time listening to this, and I'm pretty sure you have a My First Kick story, hit me up with your My First Kick story, myfirstkickspod@gmail.com, or hit me up on the Instagrams. You can message me on My First Kicks Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or just at me on Twitter, and just hit me on there and say, hey, I have a My First Kicks pod story. What's the email? I'll give you the email because I would love to talk about you all's first kicks as well. So hit your boy up, especially if you haven't been a guest on here. So on to this week's guest, Fresh Daily. Hey, Fresh, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, here we go. We in
Yo,
there.
man.
Thank you for
Yo,
having me.
oh, please, man. You know, it's a big honor. You know, we've been rocking with each other for a long time, but you know, people don't know on this podcast that how long, you know, basically you're one of the first people that we were like messing with each other in terms of just sneakers early on. But
Before
yeah, Q and
everyone was a sneakerhead?
before everyone was a sneakerhead. But I remember we'll definitely got to tell some stories because there's some that always come to mind, and I always tell people about it. But you know, for the people who aren't familiar with you, how about you introduce yourself?
Peace, what's up? I'm Fresh, or Fresh Daily as people call me. I am an MC and an illustrator and graphic designer.
Hmm.
Word.
Big time. Like nice. I've always said you were nice with it, man. So,
Thank you, G.
and also don't forget you got very relaxed. You
Yes,
got
I also own and design a brand called Very Relaxed, and as well as throw an event series called Beat House and a party series called Sweat House.
look at you, man. I we gotta talk about that too. You cooking. You always cooking, bro. Oh man. But you're here to answer the question I ask everybody each week, and that question is, what's your first kicks? What's that first pair of sneakers you absolutely needed to have?
All right, so I'm a New York kid. I reside in Oakland now,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm a lot older than I look. I'm not going to tell you how old, but I'm a lot older than I look. And so, I definitely am the product of single parenting, where that means your mom's is not going to spend $100 on no Jordans for you. You're not going to spend $100. So there's a lot of kicks that I saw come and go coming up, and then around 19, I left the crib and started making my own money, and that's
Mm-hmm.
when the kicks really started coming in. And one of my earliest memories is early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. I used to work at Dean and DeLuca, which is on the corner. It's not there no more, but Dean and DeLuca was it was like a fancy Whole Foods before Whole Foods.
Mm-hmm.
It was on the corner of Prince and Broadway in Soho.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the era of Soho, had a bunch of stores. Supreme was right on the corner. Nort was
Mm-hmm.
there. Recon was there. Clientele was there. But then there was David Z was
Mm-hmm.
there. With David Z is just a shoe store that had a whole bunch of sneakers, mostly Asics, Sebagos, and then there was like a couple of other sneaker
Oh man.
stores on that
Mm-hmm.
block. And going to work every day, I would walk down Broadway till I hit Prince, and I'll pass the store, and I don't remember which sneaker store it was because back then there was a bunch of boutiques.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw a pair of Dunks in the window. There were a pair of Nike Dunks in the window, and I couldn't tell the SKU number or anything, but they were money green.
Mm-hmm.
They were like a dark olive and a light olive with white laces, and if you've seen them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I just remember
I'm
this was
trying to
like
think.
the first time in life where I was like, I don't care what these sneakers cost. I
Mm-hmm.
need these sneakers. And I'll be honest with you, then I liked sneakers, but I didn't have a taste level of I like these sneakers. I just knew if I saw it and I liked it, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
The whole culture of it came, I want to say more 2006, 2007 is when I really started refining that taste. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember this had to be like 2001 maybe, roughly around then,
It
maybe
could be the
2000.
ghost. You may be thinking about the ghost SBs. It was
They weren't SBs though, I don't think.
oh, they're regular dunks.
They were regular dunks. I doubt that they were SBs, to be honest with
Hmm.
you.
Because like as
So
soon as you said that block, I was like, ooh, maybe blades. And then you said
mhm.
you said a window. So I'm thinking like, okay, like I'm literally just walking down it in my head. I'm like, okay, maybe
Yeah,
blades. You
because it
know.
was okay. So this is Broadway. It was right on after Prince. If I'm going up toward 14th, what's the next
Hmm.
block after Prince? It's like the main one, Houston Street.
Spring, it's Houston
Houston.
Street. Yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
Houston, between Houston and Prince on Broadway, right? So
Hmm.
if I'm going up toward 14th, I'd be on the right side of the street, right?
Right side
So
of the street.
if I'm going up toward 14th on
Hmm.
Broadway, but after Prince, going toward Houston. And I used to look in the window, and I remember, and I think back then they must have only been $100 or something like
Yeah.
that. Might have been 98 on sale. You don't know, but I
Hmm.
remember that defining moment. That pair set off everything for
The
me in terms
domino, the
the
domino
domino
effect.
effect. They were super comfortable. Up until that point, I might have had, Air Force Ones or whatever.
Hmm.
And I think that was really it. At my collecting, I had a pair of Ace 81s. I had two pairs of Ace 81s, which is more of like
Hmm.
a tennis sneaker that looks really similar to the Dunk.
Hmm.
And a lot of Air Force Ones in a myriad of colors. But that was my first pair of Dunks, and I just remember the color really made me be like, yo, I love olive green. It goes so ill with everything. Olive green is one of my favorite colors to wear. And I
Hmm.
remember that being it. So this, like I said, is a twofer because
Right.
right after that, I got a pair of Air Trainer ones.
Mm.
And I can't remember which ones they were. But I
They're not the
just
chlorophylls.
It wasn't the chlorophylls. It was I feel like when chlorophylls first dropped, I missed them. So this
Hmm.
had to be something, and it was a general release. But I just
Okay.
remember thinking, this is probably 2006, 7. So I was really enamored with you remember the strap across the shoe was a big deal.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of things happen with that strap across the shoe.
Hmm.
Like Kanye was in the Ado Matsumoto shoe, which was
Hmm.
anything that made you look like a fucking anime character. It was big and
Yeah.
chunky with a strap. Whether it
Uh
was
huh.
a big Air Force 3 or whatever. But Air Trainer 1 probably was the most comfortable, like right at the height of my peak of like streetwear era and sneakers for me.
Hmm.
That Air Trainer 1, the Air Trainer
Bananas.
1 and the Dunk Low, two defining shoes for me. I would say favorite silhouettes even to this day.
That I mean, I wish I could find because like usually I'll do a little synopsis of the shoe, but since we don't know, you're just gonna have to try to find it yourself.
I'll find a picture and send it to you.
All right, yeah. That I mean, it's wild that you worked in Soho during like the height of Soho too.
Oh
So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure you saw a lot of people just like either trying things out, like being ahead of the
yeah,
curve,
yeah. Back then Supreme used to have sample sales,
Hmm.
like right behind. They were I forgot what the street was. They were there, but like right behind
Yeah, I
that
don't know.
street that they were on, like
Hmm.
there was an alley called like maybe Great Jones Street or something like that, and right around the corner from that alley they would have these crazy sample sales. I actually saw shout out my man Dice who used to work at A Life. I saw Dice take Drake to this maybe possibly the last sample sale Supreme had, and I was just like I couldn't even get into it at that point. It was like,
Uh-huh.
but there used to never be a fucking line for these sample
Yeah,
sales. You could just go in and cop like crazy
yeah.
for like a crazy discount, and the hype hadn't hit then. But right around that big, like the beginning of the end of that, like Supreme shit, I remember there being a crazy line, and me just thinking to myself, "This is nuts." and then seeing Dice skip the line past everybody. I was like, yo, Dice, like, yo, what's up, my guy? Let me in with you. But he was there with Drake, taking Drake to a Supreme sample set. So
Yeah,
it was really kind of crazy. Um,
that's crazy.
that whole
This
era,
is
man.
yeah. I was gonna say, is this mixtape Drake? This is.
This is no, this is already So Far Gone had come out,
Hmm.
and so like maybe the first or second album was already because he had already done his A Life session. So whatever year
Yeah.
that A Life session was, this is like maybe same year or a year after it. So whatever
Sheesh.
era that was, but like my whole coming of age was. I started working at Dean and DeLuca. That was like
Hmm.
maybe 99 to 2000, might have been 2001, but going to work every day in Soho,
Hmm.
I thought I had my Brooklyn shit, which was a very specific aesthetic and
Hmm.
sneaker shit. I had that, but then leaving Brooklyn and going to Soho really just made an interesting mix. Like you just
Yeah.
became acclimated to so many things that are outside of your own local bubble. So it
Hmm.
was super dope, man. Especially as an MC, with a very signature style at that
Yeah.
time. Like, yeah,
I mean, yeah. Speaking of that, like, where did the name come from? And like, I mean, what was? Were you always fresh? Like in high school? Were you?
nah, not at all.
Hmm.
Substantial gave me the name Fresh Daily.
Hmm.
I had a different name, which if you knew it, you know it. I'm not gonna tell it to y'all. If the internet exists, good luck finding it.
Yeah.
But I had another name, and I had linked with Substantial. He had a crew slash label called UV Inc. I don't know
Hmm.
if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so like I was probably one of the last people signed to UV Inc. Might have not, if not the last.
Hmm.
Um, and right in the middle of that, I got hit. I'll just tell you the name. It's so corny. It doesn't matter. My rap name was Il Tarzan.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't. I was gonna. I was gonna.
I appreciate you. My rap name was Il Tarzan, and
I thought it was a good
I
name. Listen, back on the
it was
forums
is
when I was on Q&5 forums, being like, "Nah, Iltarzan is not that
it,
bad of a name."
it is. In hindsight, it's a little cringy, but back
I mean,
then
it'd go
I
crazy
thought it
right
was
now.
super
I'll be
dope.
honest.
Right. I thought it was a super dope name. But however, I didn't. What I didn't know is that the author Edgar Rice Burroughs, who wrote the book Tarzan, had a copyright on the
Hmm.
name Tarzan. There's no other word in the English language that sounds like Tarzan without making reference to it. So they were like, I got a cease
Mm.
and desist from the family of Edgar Rice Burroughs, who held copyright to that name, who has copyrighted it and licensed it out to Disney, who has licensed it out to a whole bunch of people, like movies and plays and a whole bunch of things. I didn't know this at the time, but they were like, there's no other word in the English language that sounds like Tarzan without making reference to it. So don't try to like change the name to like TRZN. We're on your ass, boy, and we'll hit you with that lawsuit. So
Uh-huh.
they gave me 30 days to change my name, and I was in a spiral because I was like, yo, like I built so much like social equity
Uh-huh.
wrapping around town under this name, like I was one of the first people to have digital distribution early.
Hmm.
And so I had built all this buzz under that name, and I just got signed up with UV Inc. I swore I was going platinum, you know what I'm saying? Um, because Q15 was a movement,
Yeah.
and Substantial was like a big part of Q15. So I was like, it's up. And then I lost the name, and I was like, "Damn, it's down!" like, you know. But it's actually one of the best things to happen to
Hmm.
me. So Stan Substantial was like, "What if you change your name?" I was gonna change my name to Fresh All Day, like all day is one word. He was like, "Why don't you just change it to Daily, and then you could do?" Because this was the era of Jay-Z and DJ Clue, S.
Hmm.
Carter,
Yeah.
and or he was M. Holla and H. Holla, the Holla brothers, and
Yeah.
Hove and Clue was doing so that whole dot thing was, he was like, he could be like F. Daily, and I was like, oh, that's hard.
Hmm.
Let's run with that. Let's do that. I like that. Fresh Daily. But the name online on social media was taken. Fresh Daily was taken, so it turned to Fresh Daily. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I can always tell when people are like new fans or don't know me because they what's up Fresh Daily, and I'm like that's not my name. My name is not Fresh Daily. It's just that's my handle. Like it's kind of weird to call people by their social media handle,
Yeah.
but at this point, I'm just like whatever, man. As long as you as long as I'm being acknowledged, I'll correct you
But like as
later.
long as you're
But yeah, so
streaming
that's
me, you just play the
yeah.
hit the
So
play button.
hit the play button. So that's kind of like how I got the name,
Mm-hmm.
but it was more about so Naturel. I don't know if you know Naturel. He's now a really well known illustrator and
Mm-hmm.
artist and fine artist. You know, like a lot of famous people own his work. Like he's done work with Nike, he's done
Mm-hmm.
work with Puma. LeBron James owns his work.
Mm-hmm.
Swiss Beats owns his work. You know, he's represented by a lot of galleries. But back then,
Mm-hmm.
he was a an illustrator and designer at Rockaware Women's Division, as well as an MC and graphic designer for UV Inc.
Wow.
And I will always build with Naturel because Naturel was a big reason outside of substantial. Naturel was a big reason I wanted to be with UV Inc.
Mm-hmm.
because he was always fly. And side note, he was the first person I seen in the Viotech Air Trainers, and he had the Air Trainer 3 of the Viotechs, and
I mean,
it's
anything biotech is
it's
so crazy
yeah,
though.
it's the same silhouette with
Yeah.
just slight tweaks,
Yeah.
except for the three is super uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
and pinches your small toe, and I got rid of all my threes. I learned that the hard way, except for the Viotex,
Uh-huh.
just to honor my boy Naturel. But Naturel, when he was working at Rockefeller, Rockaware, excuse me, um, told me the successful cornerstone, the cornerstone, the two cornerstones to any successful brand is two things.
Mm-hmm.
It's quality control and consistency,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the cornerstone. Those are the two tenets of any successful brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I that stuck with me forever. He must have told me that easily 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's still like burned into my mind. And so when I came up with the name, I knew people were gonna automatically be like, "Oh, Fresh Daily." They're gonna think it's like I was big in the streetwear, big in the sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I really was trying to not get pigeonholed as like a streetwear rapper.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be like Kia Shine, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so I really wanted to stress that Fresh Daily stood for those two things: quality control and consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Doing something really at a high level, and then being able to duplicate that process at the same level or better,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's quality control and consistency. Fresh, quality control, and consistency daily,
Mm-hmm.
doing it every
Every
day.
day.
So that's what the name really breaks down to ultimately.
No, I mean, yeah, it's crazy because like I will say when I first started listening to your stuff, I was just like, man, this dude's man nice. And then I actually went and I saw you. I think you opened for Stan. I think that was the first time I met you. You opened for Stan on one show, and then we started talking after
Maybe,
that. Um,
yeah.
and it was like you opened my eyes into like because like I was like tiptoeing into sneakers during that time, like 2006 or something like that. And then
That
you're,
sounds about right.
yeah, and then you were like, yo, bro, you gotta check this out and this out. And we were like talking on the forums all every day. And then you put me on to like Nike Talk and stuff like that because you were like, yo, you gotta check this stuff out. I forgot like I don't think we were
There were
like
so many
yeah
websites. There were
yeah
so many blogs. You know, like as you're telling me this, I'm like having vague recollection of it, but it's like a million years ago.
yeah.
So I'm like, damn, there's so many blogs I used to check on the regular. So
Hmm.
many forums I used to check on the regular. But also, like the advent of e-commerce happened, and it's like that changed a lot because
Hmm.
back then you really had to like go to a store. They might not have an e-commerce portion of their website.
Right.
Their website only let you know what they had in store, and then you had to go to the store.
Hmm.
So there was an interesting community of people who are going to these retail places, having these dope retail experiences with
Hmm.
sneakers and streetwear at places that you could only get this thing there.
Yeah.
Right, so that was the beauty because like certain shit was like a Tokyo release only,
Right.
and unless you had a plug in Tokyo, you weren't getting that. That
Hmm.
you weren't getting that T-shirt. You weren't. I mean, I feel like that was what was kind of sick about Bape was they didn't have a U.S. flagship yet.
Right.
So if you wanted a pair of Bapes, you needed a plug in either the UK or Japan to get that. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that the same was it was the same for a lot of brands and a lot of releases that tier zero accounts and
Mm-hmm.
hyper strikes and all this shit. And so these sort of online forums and blogs and websites were a really good way to communicate. Oh, you're over there, I'm over here. If you send me these, I'll send you those. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And like that was the culture, and it was so dope to me too because like regional styles
Mm-hmm.
were very specific. You know, you would go to like Baltimore or DMV and see a lot of New Balances and foam posits and shit like that and
Mm-hmm.
Nike boots. And then you would go, to Texas and see something different. And that was one of my favorite parts of touring.
Yeah, I was just gonna
You'd be
ask.
on the When you go on the road, you would
Mm-hmm.
go to different places, and they'd be like, "Oh, you from New York, huh?" And they could tell.
Mm-hmm.
They could tell at a glance of you. Now with social media, regional styles have been homogenized because
Yeah.
everyone's looking at each other and like kind of a little bite here, a
Mm-hmm.
little inspiration there. I really miss regional styles and that kind of sort of niche community of like sneakerheads. So as you're telling me that, like I know I must have like tried to put you onto shit back then. I don't remember it now,
Oh, you
but
were put
like
because
it was.
because like I was huge like Moose. What is it? Moose Unlimited shirts. I was wearing like siphon shirts and stuff like that because because that's
Yeah,
that's when they were like really trying to tap into the underground scene and being like
yeah,
I remember there was that one brand that Pac FM and Tone modeled for where they had like the Statue of Liberty holding the gun and it was like and
yeah.
I was
Accomplice,
yeah accomplice yes accomplice
accomplice.
and
Yep.
and I was like, oh, all my favorite rappers are rocking this stuff. Let me rock it too. And I was doing that was like the
Yeah.
FUBU mentality. But then you were like, man, you got to check out this brand. And that's when I remember you being like. You were like, yo, you ever heard of Supreme? And I was just like, I mean, I passed by it once or twice, and you were like, you should probably go inside. And I was just like, all right. And then I started checking out, like, for real, like you were one of the people that were like, yo, you should really see this
Wow.
scene down in Soho. And I was just kind of just like, hip hop head, really not
You was
really.
a baby.
Yeah, I was.
You was a baby, bro.
But I
Wow.
credit that to you because, like, we would definitely spend mad time after shows just talking about stuff.
Talking about shit. Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like I seen you at like a sneaker event too, and
Damn, I
I
was
was
just
like,
gonna bring that
yeah.
story up because I remember
I
it
was like,
perfectly. We went to Dunk
okay.
Exchange,
Wow.
and I remember this night and day, like it happened to
Wow.
yesterday. Went to Dunk Exchange, and this is where
Okay.
I like this is where I was already working my way up into the forums and learning how to haggle and stuff like that. So I was getting stuff for cheap, right? I was pulling up the tables, being like, I know you sitting on these. Let me get them for like 60s, and people will pull up and be like, yo, here you go. So we were walking. Me and my boy were walking. Shout out to Joey Brams from NikeSB.org forums. So like we were walking around and we were talking to people and stuff like that. And then you pull up and I'm like, fresh? And you were like, what up? And then you were like, you were like, I know you know about sneakers, but what do you know about these? And you pulled out I think it was like the samurai dunks or something like that. It was like a,
Damn.
yeah.
Yes.
And you were like, what do you know
Yes. It
about
had like
these?
the plaid on the inside a
Yes.
little
Uh
bit.
huh.
Yeah, buddy. Wow, you're blowing my mind. And I don't think they were. I don't think they might have been the dunks, but they were Air Force threes in that samurai pack.
hmm
And I might have had the Air Force threes and not
Yeah.
the dunks. I can't remember.
I remember you just pulling out a shoe that had that like plaid. That's all I remember.
Uh
And then
huh.
you were like, "What are
Uh huh.
these? You know about these?" And I looking at you, and I'm like, "I don't know what those are." And you were like, "Aha, I knew." And I was just like, and that was it. I was just like, if I
You know,
bought,
in that era, stunting was a
yeah,
habit.
you're
Like
every
you
single
really
chance.
had to stunt on niggas. Like
You
yeah,
every single chance. There was one time. I'll tell you another time we ran into each other.
oh my god.
We ran into each other on 14th Street because I used to hang out 14th Street all the time after high school or like
R.I.P. 14th
for
Street. It's not
RIP
the same.
14th Street, yeah. And we ran into each other, and you were like, you turned to me. You was like, you don't know nothing about these animal packs. And I looked down. You were rocking the animal pack Air Max ones. And
Wow.
I was like, damn, those are crazy. And that's the first time I ever wanted those because of you. Yeah, I was like, I gotta get
That's
those.
crazy. That's
But
crazy.
yeah, you definitely hit me with the you don't got these a lot, and I miss those
Yeah.
times. I miss those times.
Now everybody got them, and
Hmm.
or everybody can get them. And that the beauty of that stunt moment was that you had to be outside or
Hmm.
you had to be tapped in to get it.
Hmm.
And there was something really dope about that because it's like the hunt, the thrill of the hunt, and like the haggling and the whole process of it was like it was like a real like collector's dream. Like it was like if you play an RPG game and
Hmm.
you have to go through bosses and mini
Yeah.
bosses and go on quests for certain pieces, and then you collect these pieces and you put together a fit like a puzzle. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
that kind of doesn't exist.
It
Like
doesn't. Yeah.
that, it's I and I don't want to shit on Yachty, but I feel like Yachty is a perfect example of someone who has like not unlimited funds, but has access to a lot of money,
Hmm.
and so that access to his money kind of like he can just be like, I wasn't outside or even born when this shoe drops, but I have the $4,000 to buy it and put
Yeah.
it in my collection. And to me, that's cool that he has the collection, but I was like, damn, I remember what you had to do to get those,
Yeah.
bro. Like that, the store that those dropped on doesn't even exist
Yeah.
anymore.
And you
You know
don't know
what I
nothing
mean?
about the store. You never visited the store. You just know that the shoe exists because of the store. All right, so I'm jumping in here to talk about Magic Mind. As a frequent user of Magic Mind, it has been helping me. And you can see it help me during this conversation with Fresh Daily that you're watching or listening to right now. You can see that I'm alert and asking great questions. Shoot, we go into some really interesting, like I bring up an old story on here that just blows his mind. So you can see that Magic Mind is working. And I have to attribute it to that. I have to attribute my alertness to Magic Mind because it has my favorite ingredient, matcha, which contains compounds called catechins that help extend the benefits of caffeine in your body. And like I said last week, I can't forget about that ashwagandha because of how important it is to help you with stress and anxiety, especially when, you know, you're working or you're podcasting or you're creating content. It helps because even though you have a long day ahead, ashwagandha got your back. And just because Magic Mind is just a simple shot you take to start your mornings, which you can pair with a normal cup of coffee. I mean, I usually just drink just the shot by itself, and then I'm off to the races. And it's interesting to see how long I last without any crashing because gone are the days of sipping coffee throughout the day. And then, you take too long, it gets cold, or you take too long and then you're too caffeinated and you're not able to go to bed. And I need my sleep. I know you need your sleep, so I need my sleep. Whatever, as little as I get, But Magic Mind helps me so that I'm not crashing at 4 p.m. and immediately wanting to go to sleep at 4 p.m. because we've all been there. You get those little naps. I'm not a big fan of napping, but when you take those naps, they don't really fully recharge you. And it's because you drank caffeine or you drank coffee in the morning. And now your body's like, oh man. But Magic Mind helps you by redistributing all that coffee or caffeine through your body and making it last longer. So you're not going to crash. And you know that it will help you make it through that long day. So, if you want to join your boy in starting your mornings with Magic Mind, visit magicmind.com sneakerhead.com/JanKickPod and make sure you use this specific link because when you input my code KickPod20 and subscribe for 3 months, you get 1 whole month free. Also, if you aren't looking for a 3 month supply, you can still use my code KickPod20 at checkout for 20% off your purchase. But if you are serious about hitting these January goals, visit magicmind.com/JanKickPod and use my code KickPod20 to get an extra 20% off your first purchase. And note, this is only for this January. So you better hurry up before it's gone.
And
And you're
I
like,
like Yachty as a person.
mm,
I don't know him, but I just like his personality. I feel like his music I acknowledge is like not for me, but that one thing drives me so nuts
mhm,
about like a lot of today's rappers that like consider themselves sneakerhead. I
mhm,
feel like just because you have proximity to richness or wealth,
mhm.
it's like it doesn't, to me, it doesn't auto equate that you're a sneakerhead just because you have the means to buy them.
Right,
I
yeah.
feel like that I miss that kind of portion of it, and I know I'm coming across as an old head here, but
I think
I
I
don't
I was just talking to people about
I
this,
don't care.
you know.
Like I really don't. Like
But it's like I always think that it's all a what do you define a sneakerhead, right? And
right,
right now being a sneakerhead is super mainstream. It's been the most mainstream it's ever
mainstream,
everything out of like ever it's ever been in anybody's life.
but
Yeah.
the bubbles popped.
No, yeah, for sure. And
The bubbles popped,
and
but
because of
yes,
that, like we're gonna start seeing people come back and be like, oh, now start gatekeeping is about to be more relevant again, you know,
I'm really anti gatekeeping. I'm super anti gatekeeping.
mhm,
I feel like I would tell you you ain't got these,
mhm.
but I would never stun on you and be like, "Where did you get them?" No, I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
I feel like
But
that's super corny.
that's the original term of gatekeeping. The gatekeeping that is now is different.
Okay, what is it?
It's like, oh, you don't skate, you shouldn't wear SBs. Oh, you don't hoop, you shouldn't be wearing Jordans. Like that's where we're at in the level of gatekeeping. And
That's also super corny.
yeah,
If you
that's
don't
Omega
if you
Corner.
don't if you don't hike, you shouldn't wear cargo pants. Like if you're not a carpenter, why are you wearing carpenter shoes?
Yeah.
It's really dumb. It's
Hmm.
like we're getting into really backward ass thinking when we start gatekeeping on that level.
Hmm.
I used to like a certain aspect of gatekeeping, like the uniqueness of it.
Hmm.
But one time, I'll give you an example. One time, I remember when around the time we met, I always used to wear Cazals. I was
Yeah.
probably one of the first rappers you ever see to wear Cazals every day. My prescription was in them joints.
Hmm.
It was part of my look. Now I just wear regular glasses. I'm an old fogey, right? But back
Listen,
then,
hold on. For people who don't know, Fresh was fly as hell back in the day. Like I'm talking about.
was what we talking about? What the fuck
I'm
are we
talking
talking
about. I'm talking.
about?
Oh,
Was,
no.
but
My
yeah, no.
bad. Fresh is fly as hell always. But having gazelles and like you were
It was a unique look. It was a
yeah
unique look.
you
It
were
was like different.
yeah.
It was different. And then I got in trouble once for making a blog post about how all these rappers are wearing glasses and growing beards,
Hmm.
and I mentioned certain rappers by name, and that shit got me into so much trouble. But because they thought it was like beef, you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? And it wasn't. I was just like, I can't help but notice you suddenly are wearing it, like, you know what I mean? But damn, I forgot where I was going
My
with that.
bad.
But oh yes, no.
Hmm.
So I'll give you a great example of gatekeeping that I thought was incredibly corny. Was I bumped into this dude. I'm not gonna mention him, but he had a clothing brand, and he was in Brooklyn. It was a Brooklyn-based clothing brand, and I
Hmm.
seen him at a block party. He had on Cazals, and he had on a Dookie rope chain. Do you remember the Dookie rope chain
Yeah.
resurgence?
Uh-huh.
Around the same time, the retro kids started coming around.
Oh my god.
This this was also the era where I was just like, I want to throw all of my snapbacks and stop wearing Cazals because these dudes are like kind of like costuming this shit, and
Hmm.
I'm over it. But I saw his gold rope chain. I was like, damn, this is like right. I'm honestly right before retro kids, where some of this '80s retro fashion was making its like climbing into like mainstream looks.
Mhm.
And I saw him at the block party, and I was like, "Yo, that's dope. Where'd you get it?" Clearly, I don't think it was real because a truck jewelry gold rope chain, that the Dookie rope chain like that would have been easily like $3,000, $4,000.
Yeah.
I know for not to pocket watch, but I know for a fact that bro that had it was definitely not dropping that. So I made the assumption it was like
Costume
a
jewelry.
cost a costume piece,
Yeah.
which is fine. I had several, and I was just like, oh, that's dope. Where'd you get it? And bro hit me with the, yeah, I can't tell you that. Like, twisting up his face. And, like,
I would have been like,
that
what?
made,
Party City down the
right,
block.
like, right. I didn't want to cook him. I didn't want to cook him because to me, to this day, I still feel like he's an OG. He's my OG. I just
Hmm.
have respect for the older brother type figures in around the way that was super fly with it.
Yeah.
So I always tip my cap and deference to him. He was a super polo head. There was a group of dudes in my circle, not in my immediate circle, but
Hmm.
in my neighborhood, and that we all like concentric circles, like the Olympic logo,
Yeah.
right? Who are like, if I was like a freshman or a junior, they were definitely like the senior
Uh
class
huh.
of dudes that were like polo heads, always super fly,
Hmm.
always on their Brooklyn shit with
Hmm.
the Tims, always on their Brooklyn shit with the kicks, always on their Brooklyn shit with getting fly.
Hmm.
And I always acknowledged them, and this dude was one of them. And I was like, damn, where'd you get that? And he kind of made me feel so corny for asking. And I promised myself, and I looked at him different too. I still give him so much props
Yeah.
as being like a
The
style OG.
the
But it
respect
was
is there, but the corniness
but
level
he
is
was
like,
forever corny
yeah.
after that. Like I still fuck with bros. I've sold this dude polo pieces and hats. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna say too much because I'm gonna blow up his spot.
You
But
you get
I've
real close. You get real
right,
close.
right, yeah. Like I already reached, like this dude in
People.
my head was my OG, and I'm already selling him shit. So at this point in my head, I already won. Like even though
Uh-huh.
it was years later, I already won. But I was like, that's so corny to do that, and I promised myself I was never gonna gatekeep like that. If somebody likes what I got on,
Hmm.
the the illest shit is I'll tell you where I got it.
Hmm.
Can you get it though?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Can you get it? I'll tell you
Hmm.
where it's from, but can you get it?
Yeah.
To me, that's harder
That's yeah.
than any
You got
than
it.
any
You yeah.
than any. Nah, man, I can't tell you where this is from, man. Yeah, that's corny.
Or at least be
That
like, oh, my jeweler is my, like, is my jeweler.
like I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I definitely have gatekeep by lying before.
Hmm.
So like, there's been a couple pieces that were just like too fire,
Yeah.
and I just was like, I don't want
I
everybody and
thrifted
their
it.
mother.
Yeah.
Not even. I was like, oh, this was a gift. My girl got me this. So, oh, my uncle got me this. Like, oh, my uncles used to be my uncles. He gave. I've definitely lied a couple times like
Hmm.
that. Like, but it's still a stranger. Not like somebody I know. Like, if somebody on the street, first of all, you already meat riding, so that's a foul on the play
Yeah.
for you meat riding a stranger in New York. You know, New Yorkers, we don't talk to
We definitely
nobody.
don't
Like,
talk to
yeah,
anybody.
we don't talk
Yo,
to nobody.
it's
So,
so funny you say that because I saw somebody with a fire varsity and I wanted to be like, yo, like that's
but you're not
fire.
a dick rider,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you're like,
yeah. So I'm like, I just eat that. Like, I'm not gonna say anything.
no. But look, now it's cool because we got social media and everything is homogenized. So
Hmm.
now it's cool to just talk to people about what they have on because I've seen people that really, like where Jay-Z was like, might have to call a paparazzi on myself. People want to be seen and talked to about what they have on.
Hmm.
So it's cool now. But like late 90s, early 2000s, I'm dead ass not talking to you about what you're wearing, bro. I'm not in your meat like that.
Yeah.
Pause. Like,
Pause.
I'm not gonna come and jock ride you over what you have. And if you coming over to me talking to me, I'm gonna be like, yo, fuck is wrong with you? I don't swing that way. Like, like it's ignorant now as I'm talking about it. It's
Hmm.
ignorant as hell now. But back then we didn't know no better. That was
No,
the
yeah.
mentality. He's like, yo, why are you talking to a strange dude, bro? You're a strange dude for
Hmm.
talking to a strange dude. So so but I never hardly if 99% of the time, there may be 1% of the time I'm like, oh, my uncle gave me this, oh, I
Hmm.
was a gift from my girl. But 99% of the time I always gave up where it was so funny. God bless the dead. My man's. I used to have this ill. I still have it. It's a Ralph Lauren cardigan
Mm-hmm.
that was like a ill like Aztec, like an Indian print. It was
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
multiple
yeah.
colors. It was kind of like some shit like this, where it was like a blanket, like
Mm-hmm.
it looked like an Indian blanket type shit,
Mm-hmm.
and it was ill. And the buttons were like silver with like some kind of like Indian native like thing on it. And
Mm-hmm.
my man's just like, yo, that cardigan's so hard, bro. Where'd you get it? I was like, oh, it's Ralph, it's Polo. He's like, yo, do you have a link? And I sent them the link,
Mm-hmm.
and the cardigan was like $238 or something.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, oh, he's like, I see why he sent me the link. I'm not buying that shit. Like, I can't afford that shit. That's crazy. You know what I mean?
Man, that I mean, this while you made me remember about the time where you were like, yo, you know about these crown dunks, and you were telling me about the crown dunks. So the crown dunks, the brown crown dunks with the like the like it's like marble on the side or something like that. It was I know
I,
I
I'll
gotta
be
show
I'll
it to
be
you.
honest with you have to show it to me. I'll
Yeah.
be honest with you, bro. I probably sold and gave away more
No, no, no. You
sneakers.
didn't. You
You know
didn't
what I
have
mean?
them. You
Like,
didn't have them. You went to. So,
oh, I wanted
so
them.
yeah, you were like, oh, you need to hit a clientele. They have these crown dunks. That's what you tell. You were like, this is you
Oh,
helping me out. And
I don't remember any of this.
no,
It's
bro,
so bugged out,
I
but
have a weird
this
memory,
is
bro.
this has got to easily be like damn near like 15 years ago.
Yeah,
But at this point, that's
probably
how far we
20.
go back.
Probably
That's
20.
wild.
But
That's why. Yeah, it's 2024.
yeah.
So like 2004. So I don't know, maybe like 2007,
Yeah,
eight,
something like
man.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
2007 or 8. But like, I remember
so
you
like 15 years ago.
you were telling me about clientele because you were like, yo, they got these crown dunks. They don't have them in my size, but if they got them in your size, you need to cop them. That's what you were telling me. So I went there
Yeah,
and I pulled them out, and then I was like, oh snap, they got them in my size. I was just like, these shoes are crazy because your style is so loud and eccentric that like it's like so like you could tell that like okay, you got to be on
yeah.
some
No, that's
fly shit.
fresh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've toned it down so much since then. I've really just like I think when that bubble popped, when it just got to be so ubiquitous that everybody had an all over print hoodie,
Mm-hmm.
everybody was in something like yellow, orange, turquoise, pink. It just got to be the point where everything was so loud and egregious. And it wasn't even for the sake of culture or style. It was because they were noticing that these streetwear pieces were the ones that sold.
Mm-hmm.
That even small, even big companies started copying it.
Mm-hmm.
That bubble popped, and I want to say that bubble popped like 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
Is kind of like death of streetwear era. Like, I mean, I feel like it all came back in its own way,
Agreed.
but do you? I mean, you remember that era? And I was a man, baby Milo hoodied up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
You
mean? Like
I,
baby Milo
all the
hoodied
babe,
up.
all the
All
babe.
the beeper sneakers,
What's you
man.
also
Was
had you used to rock if I remember correctly, you had a cheetah cardigan that you would rock sometimes, something like that. What
no,
was
no,
it?
no, no. I'll tell you what I did rock to the. I wish this is a pair that I really wish I would have taken care of. So
Mm-hmm.
back then, like I said, I was a sneakerhead, but I wasn't like. First of all, I was broke. I was a broke rapper. No qualms about it. Very broke. I grew up poor, so
Mm-hmm.
learning anything about finances or even just money was just my taste level was inhibited kind of by my budget.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another dope thing that was ill about like streetwear and stuff was like the haggling, the eBay going back and forth or
Mm-hmm.
talking to and going to these things because I would be able to get super dope things or super limited things at a discount. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? But the thing I didn't know about really was like buying two pair. Like buying two pair of something was just not in the cards for
Same.
me.
And when people say that, I'm like, you had money to buy
Oh, you're
two?
rich. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you were rich. You know? Do you know Abacus?
No, I don't think so.
Abacus was he's an Asian dude, kind of heavy set,
Mm-hmm.
super big vinyl collector, super big sneaker collector. David Louis, Lui is his last name. And at this time, Abacus was that guy, and
Mhm.
he came to all the Q15 shit, all the underground rap shit. Super dope dude. Shout out Abacus, but Abacus was the type of dude. Yet he was. You want to talk about stunt? Two pair stunning all the time, right?
Yeah.
And to me, I was just like, this guy's got to be loaded
Yeah.
because ain't no way, ain't no way. So there's a pair that I wish to God I would have taken better care of
Uh-huh.
because every given opportunity I had these motherfuckers on. At every given doesn't matter if it was a show, doesn't matter if it was a regular day, and
Uh-huh.
it's the de la highs.
Mm.
And there's four pairs of sneakers in that era
Mhm.
that I wish I could have held on to and kept a little more crispy. But I walk heavy.
Mm.
I'm not a small dude, and I wear every pair. I'm a
Yeah.
big believer in wear every pair. You might have remembered there was a like 2008, I want to say, or I don't even remember so long. 2008, 2009. I was in a car accident, a
Mhm.
really bad car
Yeah.
accident. Almost lost my leg in this car accident. And one thing it let me know is like, yo, tomorrow's not promised. You have a pair on ice, you get hit by a car tomorrow, you never wore that pair. It's
Yeah.
like, stupid,
Uh-huh.
stupid, good going, stupid. They sitting in the closet.
Uh-huh.
Your mother gonna sell them. You know, your mother
Yeah.
gonna, you know what I mean. So I'm really big on wear every pair,
Mhm.
and there was four pair that I wore the fuck out of the like Hawaii volcano lows
Oh yeah,
dunks.
those are
SBs.
so fire.
Um, the the De La Highs.
Mhm.
My God, I wish I would have taken better care of those. I wore the fuck out of those. Um, the Mork and Mindy's.
Mm.
The Mork and Mindy's actually made it all the way out here to California with me, and I tried wearing them, and the heel drag on them was so bad,
Yeah.
was so terrible. And then you know that the shiny panel in the middle
Uh-huh.
was so waxy and worn looking. I said, this is off brand for me. I put them right outside my building because there's a lot of unhoused people in
Yeah.
Oakland, and they were gone. They were gone in like a day. But I really wish I would have taken care of those Mork and Mindy's because they were fucking fire.
Mhm.
And then the fourth pair were the uncles.
Mm.
And anybody that had uncles, I remember I had to go get these uncles legit checked
Mhm.
because something that a lot of people don't know about those uncles is that pink suede. It doesn't stay pink.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
It turns to like a tan,
Mhm. Like a
pinkish color,
yeah.
like a dusty, like tannish, pinkish. And I was like, "Yo, are these fucking real?" Because I got them at a steal,
Mhm.
but I was like, "Are people gonna be like, this nigga got fakes on?" Like, so I went to one of these sneaker dunk exchange,
Mhm.
sneaker freaker, whatever events, and got them legit checked. But as soon as I got them legit checked, I wore the fuck out of
Hell
them.
yeah, bro.
And I really wish I still had those four pair. Those are like heartbreaking that I actually own them, and they're people's grails now. You know?
I mean, look, like I say, shoes are definitely made to be worn, and
Come on.
you put them on their path to a full life. Some of these
Yeah.
people just let it rot in their closet, and then you put them on
There
and then
was
they're
no
gone.
Instagram then.
I mean,
There was no Inst. I couldn't have flexed for the gram with them then,
you was
dog.
flexing on people, bro. You was flexing on
Yeah, I
people.
was at live shows on tour.
hmm
Yeah, man, it was great. It was good times, man. Good times.
The
So let me ask you
Yeah,
some
go ahead.
interesting. I got a question for you. I just out of curiosity, you probably talked about this on your podcast, but this is my first time really tapping
hmm
in a minute with you. What was that pair for you that was like, oh yeah, because you're blowing my mind the fact that I you never know like the impact you have on someone until they tell you.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're telling me these things, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like to you, it was like, yo, he put me on. To me, I was just like, yo, this is dope. I'm telling all my niggas that if I see you on some fly shit, oh, you one of us. You know, like
Yeah.
there was a there was like a time back then, like if you
hmm
saw someone with like a Stone's Throw shirt on
Yeah.
or a Stussy tee, you
hmm
were like,
I
he's
know
one of
you. I
us.
know you.
I know it, right? So that's how I saw you.
hmm
You know what I mean? I knew that you were a rap fan and that you were maybe a young dude and a burgeoning like sneakerhead now. So every time I knew that was like our common ground. So every time I saw you, I was like, did you, you know about, you know what I mean? So knowing that now,
Yeah.
hearing you tell me that, what was like that shoe for you, or like still is that shoe for you?
Well, I have a couple shoes, but like what like are you asking what is the shoe that got me into sneakers or like what is the shoe that got me into sneaker culture or
I don't know. It's like just like a flip on the question you asked me at the beginning, I guess.
I mean,
Like
so
the
the fi-
defining joint. You know
the
what I mean?
the defining moment would definitely be I mean, I cuz like the first two sneakers that I always talk about are me paying for my own first pair of sneakers, which is the khaki SBs, and it's like that proud moment for me of like, yo,
The khaki
yeah,
SBs,
the khaki SBs.
not the wheat joints.
No, it's like 2000.
Okay,
It's like later. It's like
okay.
20 something. But it was like I got those first when I got my first job at GameStop, and then because like I mean like you grew up poor, so my mom and my aunt got together, and for Christmas they gave me the Air Jordan 15s, and that was the moment where I was like I can't ask for sneakers ever in my life, even though I want them so bad that because they're gonna give me ugly sneakers, and so so
But they're Jordans. We got two
yeah, we got two
Jordans.
Jordans.
There you go.
But I will say the moment where I would say like I felt entrenched in sneaker culture because it was the culmination of like my love of hip hop and my love of sneakers meeting at the head was when I saw Aesop Rock wearing the tweed SBs in his
Mm,
food clothes medicine cover inside the booklet,
mm.
and immediately at that moment I wanted them. So then it took me like 3 years, and I got the tweed SBs. They're a size 12. I still
You get
have
the
them.
you got the brown ones or the
Yeah,
the grayish
the
ones?
tweed. I have both because it's my favorite.
Ah,
It's my favorite pattern. So
gotcha.
I was like,
You know
yeah.
that's a grail of mine.
Oh,
That's a grail of
that
mine.
is. I did not
Yep,
know that.
that's a grail of mine. The brown
But
ones.
yeah, those I love those. There, I wore them to my first live show. I did the podcast live the first time, and I was just like, "Tweet SB's got to be it," you know. And that was like I bought a bunch of sneakers between that, but it took to that moment of being like, all right, I'm on the forums every day. I'm talking to you, like I'm learning about streetwear, I'm learning about sneakers, and it was just like the culmination of like, all right, one of my favorite rappers. This is one of my favorite brands, Nike SB, and I was like, I'm in it. Let me cop that. And then I grew up, not grew up. When I first jumped into this, I was super into Nike SBs. Like that's because I felt
Did you
like
skateboard?
I did not skateboard.
Okay.
I tried, but I couldn't.
Hey, listen, we all tried. We all tried, but I was never a skater. But
Yeah.
I definitely had a skateboard multiple times in life. You know,
hmm but the thing is like with Nike SB, it had a built-in community, right?
it did.
You can go on Nike Talk, but it felt like if you didn't know what was up, you were kind of like out of the loop immediately, you know.
Yeah,
So, but I
yeah.
felt that camaraderie of like joining Nike SB and Nike SB boards and being like, oh snap, like they're like teaching me stuff. I'm learning how to legit check like that all encompassed into me being like, all right, I mean, I'm a Nike SB person. It was like Nike SB or die for years and years. So yeah.
Wow, wow. Let me ask you a question.
hmm
Um, Sneakerheads now, especially young people,
hmm
and I say young people as this old old fart, right? Um, Young people, there's a weird kind of gatekeeping
hmm
with sneaker culture that this is what I thought you were gonna say initially when you were like, "There's a new gatekeeping," which is like people like turning their nose up
hmm
at like a general release or a Jordan 1 mid,
hmm I think that
which which to me is super fucking whack, which
yeah,
is not a part of sneaker culture at all.
at all for
You know what I
sure.
mean? Like a super dope part to me of sneaker culture is like, I love this silhouette, whether it's the hottest fucking silhouette in the world
hmm
or it is a fringe weirdo silhouette. I just love it. It's my favorite shoe. It's the most comfortable thing, and I have 19 pairs of it.
hmm
To me, that's like a sneakerhead. Like they might have other things in the rotation, but they've got silhouette that, or several silhouettes that they absolutely love and they know
Facts.
everything about,
Mm-hmm.
right? But now there are people who may have just, again, it's a proximity to money thing, or just Johnny come latelys or new people, because the internet has opened the floodgates to anybody being part of a niche culture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you said, like being on the SB Nike SB boards and shit. You know, it's that camaraderie. Everyone wants to be a part of something bigger than themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I feel like a lot of these sort of communities thrive is online. So they don't actually and this is old head shit too, but niggas was not outside. Y'all was
Yeah.
not. A lot of people was not outside, so they don't understand that like people liked Adidas forums, or
Mm-hmm.
people liked, like before like Sambas were this new thing. Like there are people that like went to the store and always got Sambas in every color because that's the silhouette that they fucked with. They didn't
Right.
care that they were $79.99 or $179.99.
Mm-hmm.
They got them because they legit fucked with that shoe, or they played soccer in college and just love that shoe. There are people that love Asics because Bruce Lee wore them. They
Mm-hmm.
just love that look. You know what I mean? So that's what do you think of like the people that are like a Jordan 1 mid hot whack?
I think that's just part of people just trying to fit in, you know? So if everybody else
Yeah.
is saying it, they're like, oh, I got to say it too. And I think that, I mean, we talk about it on here with tons of guests, like, and a lot of people that I talk to on here is all about individuality, right? Like, we
Mm.
grew up on that. We grew up on, you
Mm-hmm.
know, we want our style to be our style. And
Uh-huh.
that's what's important, right? Where it's like we grew up with not a lot of money, but we had to figure out a way to look
Style.
different than somebody
Yep.
else, and it doesn't matter how much
Yep.
it costs. You know, it could be the cheapest outfit, but you look good in it. You know,
You look good in it.
yeah.
My man Swift used to do that, man.
Hmm.
He used to coming up, he would always have like a matching bandana and t-shirt, right? So
Hmm.
like he would get the t-shirts for the low and the bandanas for low, but it was an ill look because he always had the matching fit and it came off. He could have them same pair of Uptowns Air Force Ones. You know, he toothbrushed them shits and
Hmm.
swapped the laces out to keep them clean. But he always had the t-shirt and the bandana that match. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And that was something I seen in the hood a lot too, with like yank matching the fitted to the jacket to the shoe type thing. And like it didn't have to be an expensive thing, but if it matched out here, that on the West Coast, it's not as matchy matchy.
Yeah.
But I think it is a hood thing to be matchy matchy. It's kind of hood. And I think it comes from exactly what you said about like not having the same amount of access to money
Hmm.
and like finding a way to still set yourself apart. And it's also really a New York East Coast thing, because what I realized after leaving is
Hmm.
how condensed New York is.
Yeah.
It's people on people on people
Hmm.
on people on the subway, on the street, in your building, in your school. It's people in a city of 13 million motherfuckers. How do you remain fly and separate yourself from the pack?
Right. It's just you just got to figure out a way, and I think that now it's wild because if you, I mean, you were here recently and you see that. I think that people are just more dressing alike, right? There, you talk about the '90s kids; those were kids that were like, "Oh, nobody's dressing up like the '90s." Like we bringing that back, and I remember walking through those streets and seeing dudes with flat tops and overalls, and I was like, "Did I end up in a Spike Lee movie? Because this is wild."
Right, right. You know, there was a time, and I didn't mean to like shit on the retro kids.
Nah.
I think what they did was kind of dope. I mean, it hit a moment. There's a fine line. I was watching that what's that design the runway, rip the run, not
Oh,
rip the runway.
Project
I forget
Runway.
the Project Runway,
Hmm.
right? And one of the judges was saying there's a fine line between like kitsch and costume.
Hmm.
And when it was kind of kitschy, I thought it was super dope. But then it started tipping that scale into like costume.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? What I give them utmost props for is those dudes were 24/7 with it.
Oh
They went to
yeah.
their job. They went to their job, and in a Gumby high top fade.
Shout out Teddy. Shout out Teddy, bro. Teddy. That was the dude that worked at Swatch, and he had the Gumby fade and everything. I don't know. I don't know if you ever met him, but like if you
Mm-mm,
went to that
nah.
Swatch in Soho, he was one of the
Yep, right in
dudes
the
there.
corner,
Yeah, he was one of the dudes there.
right,
I was like,
right,
yo, it's good.
right across from Atrium.
Yeah, yeah,
Right
yeah.
across from Atrium, right?
Uh huh.
Yeah. I give those dudes props because they were committed. They were
Hmm.
committed. They were wearing Etonics and like they were
Yeah,
really
Pony.
about that.
They were
Pony and
rocking.
Bally, and I
Uh,
remember they even got a couple of like sponsorships and
hmm.
shit. And I feel like they tried to put out a rap album too, man.
Yes, I
Like,
remember that. And because
yeah,
they had the tall dude with the boombox always, and they were playing it
yeah,
in that like that area where Pearl Paint was at.
yeah.
Eh,
Canal.
yeah, yeah. No, no, not Canal. The Pearl Paint that was like it was. I don't know if it's Pearl Paint or it was like Michael's Art or something like that. It was an art store that was in that like cobble street where all the cobblestones were at.
Mm,
That was in front of Blades. If you walk straight in front of Blades, and then you just
I
had
don't.
there's like a stone stone street,
Okay.
and then
I don't remember. It's been a minute,
yeah,
but yeah, again I give those dudes props because they lived that shit.
yeah, they
You know what I
did.
mean? They were doing the Roger Rabbit dance. Like
Hmm.
they were committed to this shit. They really lived and breathed it. You know what I mean? And formed a crew and they were getting invited to so many parties
Yeah.
just to show up and do like coordinated dances. Like, it was amazing. Like, but like the minute it tipped into like other people being inspired by it
Hmm.
and like running with it and then like it turning into like this costume, the minute you started to see it, do you remember there was a like dudes who sold things on tables on Broadway too, like right out in front of like Urban Outfitters?
Yeah.
The minute those like multicolored snapbacks
Oh
hit
yeah.
that table,
Hmm.
those like Fresh Prince
Hmm.
snapbacks, and the Dookie ropes hit that table, it was over. It was
They were
cooked for
like
these niggas. They're like, this
the
shit is a done. It's done.
the
It's
Gumby is
finished.
gone. They were like
The gum, the Gumby's out of here, man. But that was such a dope moment, man. But yeah, like you said, it like dudes that just wasn't outside, and I feel like a lot of like the youth are kind of like parroting what they hear
hmm.
other people say in regards to like true sneakerhead culture and like the sort of this is like the literal um, definition to me of what a hype beast is.
Hmm.
Like, if it's not a hype release or a hyped release, they're not really checking for it.
Right.
And also, the idea of purchasing some shit with no past or prior knowledge of the culture behind it or the reference behind it
Hmm.
with the sole intention of reselling it is also like a huge part of what like kind of killed the joy of the shit for me, I think.
No, yeah. It you got to find it where you can, in my opinion. There
Where are
are
you finding it?
me. I try to find sneakers that actually like connect with me some way, right?
Okay.
Each sneaker that I buy has like they're like okay, this is a moment in my life and it connects to that. Like recently, I've talked about the shoe nonstop. I don't even freaking own it, but Extra Butter released a samba that was based on the movie City of God, and now
Okay.
that's one of my favorite movies of all time, being half Brazilian,
Same.
and
Okay.
my mom grew up next to the city of like the real city of God. So she was like, oh, telling me all this crazy stories and stuff like that. So that's a shoe that literally connects with me and my family, and I want it so bad. And I'm not able to get it. But like that's how I'm more like that's how I'm consciously influencing my buying,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The story behind it is a big deal.
Hmm.
I think the story behind the shoe is a big deal, and the other thing that's like a big deal to me is like the nostalgia, and
Hmm.
that's how they get the old heads like me. It's
Yeah.
like you missed these when they dropped when you were a kid and your mom was gonna buy them, but now you have a job and you can buy them, and
um,
I'm like, ah, fuck, they got me,
But yeah,
you know.
that whole retro thing is a whole like just playing on retros forever is what's keeping sneakers alive, you know. But I
Yeah.
definitely look at newer sneakers that are coming out, and if I see some sort of tech that I'm like, oh, this is cool, let me try it, you know, I'll really cop, like mostly for like actual function, because I've always been the two, right? There's there's function and then there's fashion. And if I'm shopping for fashion, that's what I'm looking for, that connects to me. And then if I'm shopping for function, you know, playing ball, working out, then I'm going that route of like, okay, let me get like the best tech.
Form meets function, I think, is the best fashion. Form meeting function. Form follows function.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think that when you keep that in mind for your purchasing or whatever, keeping in mind that the format follows the function, I think it's hard to go wrong. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Before because this has been going on for a while, but I definitely wanted to touch into, you know, you're such a tastemaker. You and I'm just gonna give you your flowers. I think that like you start a lot of things and they become beautiful, right? The you when you were doing Beat House and Sweat House here in New York, you know, you started this burgeoning beat scene that was, everybody just adapted it, you know, and continues to push it forward as well. But like what influences you so much to do these things where you are, you know, like you started very relaxed, and you know you're still doing, you know, your music, and you recently, you know, Quiet Life 2 was fire, like, you know. So the
Thank you.
of course, and I'm hyped for the new joint too. So like, what keeps you moving forward and what keeps you influencing and, well, not, I mean, yeah, influencing and starting new things, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. I think really, for a long time, like we're talking about growing up poor. For a long time, I feel like I had a scarcity mindset.
Hmm.
Like I just was like, I don't have, and so I need to get right. And so sometimes that also stemmed from like operating at a deficit. Like I don't have it, so I gotta go get it.
Hmm.
And that what that does is it creates a hustle mentality. New Yorkers are hustlers by nature, right? Because like
Hmm.
what we talked about before, sometimes operating out of that I ain't got it mentality is good for hustling because it makes you
Hmm.
hungry. Like especially when there's a lot of competition, you get steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, and so like that hunger, that kind of like hustle mentality was a huge fuel for me, and as a New Yorker, as a New York MC, as a New York creative. um but also this that what it did was, if I saw a deficit somewhere, if I saw a vacuum somewhere, I felt the need to fill it. I saw it as an opportunity, right?
Hmm.
And like for me, an opportunity. I don't ever need a hand out. I just need a hand up, or I'll make my own way if I see an opportunity. So very
Hmm.
often, in my career, I don't think I've been given many handouts. I've never had like real mentors or big brother figures, or very few. I would count substantial as one. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Out of like maybe three or four. But even those, I earned with my skill set and my talent.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have fucked with me or even reached out if I was whack, right?
Hmm.
So, but like just out of the just congenial goodness of someone's heart, being like, he's doing his thing, let me help him out. That really hasn't occurred. So for me,
Hmm.
every time I seen somebody that was doing something dope, and I had any platform to assist or use my platform to big them up or create something, because I saw there was a vacuum there,
Hmm.
and it just needed the right opportunity and auspicious circumstance to make it pop. I went for it, and um, I may not have always done things exactly by the book, just because I don't come from that background, but I
Hmm.
did it in my hustler's mentality. Like I'll put this together the best way I know how, with the least amount of resources. And now that I'm older and have more resources, it's so interesting to know like what younger me could have accomplished. I accomplished so much with this little. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it makes me wonder, like, man, the inception of so many of these things that I've started, whether they be event series or ideas or sounds or whatever the fuck I was working on, I did it with this much resources, and
Hmm.
now I'm operating more out of like a kind of abundance mindset. Like, I have it, we can do it, we can get people together and make something happen, we can pool resources to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. And I think that's always just been it for me. It's just like, if I see the opportunity, if I have the idea, I'm very grateful to the creator for making me a creator, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
think we all have the ability to be creative, but not everyone
Yeah.
is a creator. Just
Mm-hmm.
meaning you have that innate sense and ability to create. And you know, I do all of this with no schooling. I'm 100% self-taught in everything I did.
Mm-hmm.
It was me with my back to the wall, ashy knuckles to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so I think that mentality of like scrapping, fighting, hustling, looking for opportunities is what birthed a lot of the shit that people see and like. And age and um, proximity to resources have only helped me refine these things and ideas, and put them out in a more refined way and continue to do it. And I think now I don't have to operate from such a place of I ain't got it. It's more of I can take the time. That's what very relaxed is about. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I can take the time and really figure out how I want to approach things and come from a refined place. That's what the quiet life is about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, um, I don't need 13 sword strokes to kill this boss if I have the right one sword stroke. That's the
Mm-hmm.
death stroke. You know what I mean? So like, that's what to me maturing and getting older is about. You know what I mean? And it's interesting because I took 8 to 9 years off from putting out music
Yeah.
to really focus on getting Beat House going, and we've
Mm-hmm.
done so many great things with Beat House. And so now I'm back creating music, and it's beautiful. It feels great coming from the place that I'm at now, and that's kind of just been the inspiration behind it. You know what I mean? Because
No, yeah.
a lot of times I look at all the things I've done. I'm like, yo, rap music didn't get me there. Rap music might
Yeah.
have been the exception, but my tenacity, my abilities, my brain is what taught me that. You know what I mean?
Nah, man, bro, you ever since I knew you, I always thought you were extremely talented, man. From like
Big bless. Thank you.
yeah, from just like the cover. I was actually gonna dig up the Fresh Daily album, the one that you hand drew. Fuck, what was the name of it though? My bad. It's
There's like a couple of them, man.
yeah. But I know it's the one that's like you like I'm never pressing this ever again. Like you were like it's
There's
like
like a
one of
couple of those.
yeah.
Oh shit. There's like the Illy for Really mixtape. There's Mad Flavors.
Mad
Is it Mad
Flavors, Mad Flavors.
Mad
That's the one. I have
Flavors?
Mad Flavors.
That's crazy if
Um,
you have Mad Flavors.
I do. I'm gonna pull it up after we finish recording this.
That's crazy.
But I always thought you were ahead of everything because like as soon as you're super fly. Well, you are super fly, but I'm talking about during that time, and this is before Kid Cudi. This is before like you were one of the inspirations of me being like, oh, I got to be on to the next thing before the next
Yeah.
thing blows up, and
Yeah.
like I always appreciated you and
Thank you,
always
G.
appreciated our talk. And when I saw you were doing, B House, Sweat House, I was like, man, this thing's gonna go crazy. You
Thank
know,
you, bro.
it was just in Brooklyn, so I was like, this is too far for me.
You out in Queens too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Man,
it's just like
That's a
I
troop.
did it. I did it for. I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna pull up, and I pulled up for a Quelle Chris Cavalier show, and that was like, all right, I'm hooked onto this stuff. Like I knew it was gonna happen because that
Right.
scene is like you in there, and you become part of it. Like you're
Yeah.
meeting, you
It's
seeing
dope.
the same people. Yeah, it's crazy. But
It's
yeah, you
dope.
started something. And I always credit to you because like I didn't hear about it until you, and so I was
Yeah.
just like, yeah,
That credit actually means the world to me because uh for a long time, I was really pushing in that space and just like
mm-hmm.
not getting credit for it, or the credit will go to someone else. And like the weird thing about credit is you can't take it; it has to be given.
Yeah.
So I've definitely made the mistake of trying to take credit for things that I've done, and it always
Mhm.
backfires on me. People are like, remember I've been quoting Jay Z this whole interview, but Jay Z said, if I owe you, I'm blowing you to smithereens. People don't like the idea of being indebted to you. So when you try to take credit for something you've done, whether you put people onto them or whatever,
Mhm.
they hold a resentment about it. So what I've learned is like, yo, I'm not gonna take credit anymore. When my flowers come to me, I'll accept them graciously. So you giving me that
Mm-hmm.
credit means a lot to me, using your platform to do so. Because there is a lot of things I feel like I was at the helm of, but being a futurist is a gift and a curse. It's the ability to see ahead of you, but then you're
Mm-hmm.
so ahead of people that they're just like they don't get it off the top
Yeah.
and until it's already mainstream.
All right. So last question. Last question. It's the last question before we get up out of here. So I want you to think about as you're about to pull open that box for. Let's go with the dunks. Like you're about to open that box. You go
Okay.
back in time. You're your age now behind yourself. What would you tell yourself, your
A
younger self, as they open that box?
I don't know. I would tell myself, I don't know. Take care of these, man. Take care of these. They're not gonna retro them for another 20 years. They gotta last you, kid. They gotta last you. No, I don't know. I mean, to be frank with you, I wouldn't change shit, man. Like I know we joked earlier about pairs that I had that I
Hmm.
wish I still had, and because I wore them out. But at the end of the day, man, I would tell anybody, yo, this shit is
No,
just
yeah,
rubber and fucking leather. It's not that serious. It's really not that serious.
leather.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's ginormous
Hmm.
things happening all around the world that we're very grateful to be Americans and live in this country and have that we take for granted. And it's like this shit is just
Hmm.
leather and rubber, bro. It don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? It's to your taste, but the fact that you even
Hmm.
have the means and the proximity to the means to be able to have different pairs of shoes, you only got one pair of feet. You know what I'm saying? So the fact
Hmm.
that you might have multiple pairs, just be grateful for whatever you do have, and like work hard and treat yourself to something every now and then, and wear every pair.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And to people that resell, kind of like, I understand we live in a capitalist society, but there's a culture of people that really care about these things, and I think resale culture is awful because that kid that wanted that pair, right, might not get them because you used bots to get like 25 pairs.
For everybody listening, we're just going. Fresh's phone died for a little second. He came.
Sorry.
He was in the middle of this. If you're watching this, but for everybody out there, Fresh, let them know where to find you, and like plug all your stuff.
Yeah, man. Fresh dot daily on all social platforms. Fresh
Hmm.
dot daily. I think Facebook it might be Fresh Daily and then the letters MC, Fresh Daily MC, but
Hmm.
most everything is Fresh dot daily. Uh, that's like fresh.daily.com. Um, I don't know, man. Very relaxed.co.
There you
We
go.
we'll have some new shit up soon.
Hmm.
I'm on
Cop
Bandcamp.
that hoodie. Cop that hoodie. Yo,
Fresh
that hoodie is
Daily.
fire.
Thank you. Freshdaily.bandcamp.com, I think is it. And
Hmm.
yeah, man. I'm on all streaming platforms too. So if you just type in Fresh Daily, I should be the
Yeah,
only
for
guy
sure.
that pops up.
And
So
if you're in Oakland, hit up if you see a sweat house, beat house. It's only sweat house now, right?
no, this Beat House. We
Oh,
got
it's
a
beat
Beat
house
House
too.
coming up January 19th.
Okay, okay, there you go.
Yeah,
Well, this
man.
is dropping. That's what you should drop. You should push. So this is dropping the 12th. So
Hey,
the
listen.
next week, yo, yeah.
If you're on the West Coast, it's gonna be dope. If you're in Oakland specifically or the Bay Area in general, Um, you can RSVP at Beat House Show on Instagram. There's a
Hmm.
link in the bio at Beat House Show. BeatHausShow. Beat House Show. The headliner is Obliv.
Hmm.
And then we've got Les Lockhart, Telly McLean, 89s. Just a whole bunch of dope artists on that bill. So you definitely don't want to miss that one. And yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me
No,
on
thank you,
this.
man.
Sorry, people kept blowing up my phone, but
It's all good. But for everybody out there, you know what we say each week: wear your kicks.
wear your
Peace.
kicks, wear every pair.